Built in 1864, not long after. Now I have to get this straight. Give me a second. Not long after the resistance fighters played a big part in defeating the Austrians here in Milan. What a quaint little alleyway. So back in, well, between 1805 and 1815, Napoleon was the ruler here in the Milan, which is in the Lombardy region, northern Italy. After his defeat, after he was defeated, this area was carved up by the Austrian Congress, and in 1815 it got handed over to Austrian rule, which went on quite peacefully for some time. Then in 1848, the people of Serbia, hundreds of miles away, who were also under Austrian rule, and they didn't like it, so they started an uprising, and that uprising soon spread. Which way to go? Could just go this way. So that uprising soon spread, and it spread as all the way to Vienna, which I think was the capital of Austria, even way back then. Then once the public of Vienna started rebelling against the monarchy, who were the rulers, the bourgeois of Austria. They controlled just about everything, and again the people didn't like it, so they had their own rebellion, and soon in 1848, I think it was in October or March. Let me check. I haven't got that information on me. I'll just do it all from memory. Well, I'll show you around these streets. What have we got here? Nice little water feature. Back to the story. So let's just say it was October 1848. As I said, might have been March. The news of the uprising had reached Milan, the uprising in Vienna. And so the people of Milan, the Milanese, if that's what they're known as, they decided they'd had enough of the Austrians as well. So the Austrians, they used to wander around these streets, the Austrian soldiers, in groups of 3. And in what's known as the 5 days of Milan, the people started attacking these soldiers in their groups of 3. Throwing rocks and pelting them with stones and whatnot. Which way? This way. So the Austrians, under their commander, decided they'd increase their strength by going around in groups of 12. One such group of soldiers attacked the citizens of Milan. They charged them with bayonets and swords. I think they killed maybe half a dozen people and injured. Nice car there. Nice little courtyard. And injured quite a few others. They got into a little bit of trouble from their commander. They were confined to barracks for a week or so. Nothing great. But that was sort of the beginning of the resistance movement here in Milan. And it wasn't long until they started to really organise themselves, and the Austrians, the soldiers, were put to a fairly vigorous struggle. There was a lot of fighting going on, and the Austrians retreated, albeit for not all that long, a few months. Then I think they retreated back further north into Italy, I think. Then they came back and in greater numbers, and things all settled down again. And it continued that way for the next 10 years or so, until the fall of the Austrian regime here in northern Italy and other parts of Europe as well. We're freed from the rule of the, I guess, tyrannical Austrian policies. It's very difficult to find a peaceful street here in Milan to tell a story. Christmas lights still out. Of course, it's only December 29th. That's a bit better, a bit quieter, much quieter. Comando Militare Esercito Lombardia. NATO Rapid Deployable Corps, the headquarters of in Italy. Wow. Fancy that. Nice old building again. Oh look, they've got the grenades carved out there. Bombs. Big eagle up the top, standing on a guy's helmet. Machine gun belt. Ah, this is the older stuff. Okay, so there's the battle axe, the shields, another helmet, and a broken bell. Wow, very impressive. Speaking of war, after the Austrians suffered a series of defeats in the Second Italian War of Independence, which ended in 1959 when King Victor Emmanuel II sent his forces here to Milan, and they defeated what was left of the Austrians, and therefore then after that King Emmanuel II, he reunified much of Italy. I think we walk this way. Nice little cafe. So then we fast forward now to the Second World War here in Milan, set here in Milan, part of it, where the resistance played a large part again in helping to get rid of the Nazi occupation here in the Lombardy region. So the resistance would they were saboteurs. They'd attack the trains that had the Nazi troops and Nazi supplies. They would cut the railway tracks so the trains would derail and destroy whatever they could. Let me go back a little bit further again, back to the end of World War I, where in the 1920s Milan was the birthplace of Italian fascism under Benito Mussolini. Not a very good time for anyone concerned, but it did cause Milan to become the industrial centre of Italy. The Pirelli factories were established, the Fiat factory, I believe, was established not far from here. So while the industry thrived under fascism, the same couldn't be said for the people. They were suffering repression, political repression. It just wasn't a great time to be here in Milan. And so by the start of World War II, Milan had become the leading place of industry in all of Italy. Which of course, when war broke out, the Second World War broke out, that of course made Milan a target. And targeted it was. The RAF began bombing raids, nighttime bombing raids, here in Milan, or on Milan, in 1943. And then they were soon joined by the United States Army Air Force, who also wanted to destroy the industrial infrastructure here in Milan. So they joined forces and began bombing in earnest. They dropped thousands of tons of bombs here in Milan. Their aiming point was the Milan Duomo, which is the mighty cathedral right in the centre of Milan. Fortunately, they weren't terribly good at they're aiming, they're bombing, because not one bomb landed a direct hit on the cathedral. It did suffer some minor damage, but a lot of the places around, some of these, what were magnificent buildings, like this one, some of them were totally destroyed. A lot of damage. There was some 900,000, they call them rooms, I'm not sure what that means, 900,000 rooms here in Milan. Over 450,000 of those were either destroyed or heavily damaged, including the opera house and the theatre here in Milan. So the bombing raids, as I said, they dropped thousands and thousands of tons of bombs. And as I said, they weren't very good at it. On one particular occasion, so they had their bombers come through in waves, each in a squadron, multiple squadrons. One particular squadron were flying along, and they were supposed to, at some navigational point, they were supposed to turn 22 degrees left. Probably because of inexperience, because by this stage the war had been going on for quite a few years and they'd lost a lot of their more experienced pilots and navigators, etc. Somehow they managed to turn 22 degrees to the right. Now when the commander of this particular bombing squadron realised the mistake, he thought the best thing to do would just be to release all the bombs wherever he was. And that place happened to be a civilian area, fairly densely, well, a lot of people had escaped Milan by that point, but there was still a lot of people left. And so this commander dropped his bombs on this civilian area. One of them, unfortunately, landed a direct hit on a school. And that school, which I don't have the name of, I'll put it down below. I'm tired of looking things up. That school had, because there was always the air raid sirens and whatnot going off, and they had pushed all the children and the teachers down into the basement. And unfortunately, the stairwell of that basement took a direct hit and completely destroyed it. There was 185 children killed, I believe. 14 teachers and the headmaster were killed. I also think and also the nurse and some janitors. I think about 4 janitors, all killed from that one direct hit, one bomb. 2 survivors, and they were both young children who had refused the order by the nuns to go down into the basement for whatever reason. And that choice saved their lives. And as of last year, those 2 people they're not children anymore. They were still alive because they attended a ceremony marking whatever centenary it was of the bomb at the location where the school was. It's not there anymore. And also last year, in 2023, the Italians were demanding an apology from the US government for that particular incident. I'm not sure if it was forthcoming or not. Steamed whole crab with citrus mayonnaise. €36. Do they have any beef? Let's see. No, just shellfish, fish and pasta. Linguine with lobster, €26. Nice. At least this is a much quieter area, away from the crowds. Gueri. 20% discount now, €336 for that little combo there. Maybe that's just for the jacket, I don't know. It wasn't my size, so I'm not going to get it. Very nicely done. Albergo Hotel. 4 stars. So now, Milan is still a major industrial centre here in Italy, and doing quite well from all reports. The Pirelli factory and the Fiat factory, I believe, are still here, not far away. And that school, by the way, is about 6 kilometres away from here. So that's how far out the bombers were on that particular day. And that, now that I'm back into the crowd, it's going to be the end of my little, I'm where I wanted to be. I'm back at the castle. I'll show you through this park. I don't know how long this video has been, but let's go and have a look. It's supposed to be pretty nice. That statue there, the bearded man on the horse, that's Giuseppe Garibaldi. Very famous man here in Milan. He was one of the leaders in the fight against Mussolini's fascism here in northern Italy. Very revered figure. Name still goes on today, as of course it would, but as I said, very, very famous. And the Sforza castle behind me here was used by the Austrian troops during that period of their reign here in Milan. Ceased to be, built in 1360 and used right up until 1859 for military purposes. But after the Austrian occupation ended in 1959, they changed it and it just became a museum of sorts, which is what it is today. I showed you this in the last video, so I'm not going to show you again. We're just walking through to get to the other side to where the gardens are.
Oui. Il a cru que j'avais mangé. Oh mon bébé. Attends, j'avais ma main comme ça, il est venu me voir parce qu'il a cru que j'avais mangé. Ouais.
This, look at the sun right behind me. This is the Nice peaceful gardens behind the castle. I'm trying to find a gate. I think it's up there. Little lake there. Some squirrels hanging about. Not bad. So this gate you see behind me was originally ordered to be built by Napoleon in the year 1807. After his defeat in 1815 and he lost the kingdom of Lombardy, construction was abandoned for quite some time. It wasn't until I believe 1938 that it was completed by the Austrians, and its name all along was Porto Giovio, something like that. It was through these gates that the Austrian general Radetzky escaped with his troops. So he escaped from the castle, which is about 700 metres that way, through these gates, fled back to the northern parts of Italy. But he would return after escaping from the resistance. He would return not too long afterwards, probably through these gates again. Who knows? Gates are now known as the Gates of Peace. And it was through that gate that Victor Emmanuel II returned into Milan, following his victory with the help of the resistance fighters of Milan. And that, and on top of there is Minerva, goddess, I think, a goddess, on a Roman chariot led by 6 horses. And the 4 horses on each corner, although you can only see 2.5, the 4 horses on each corner, they represent the 4 major rivers that flow through this area, or surrounding this area. Don't know their names. Okay, on that note, I'm going to call this a day. Got a long walk back. There's trams over there somewhere, but they're the touristy type of trams, and I don't have a ticket today. I thought, while in Milan, why not do what the Milanese do? Don't buy a ticket. Today's the day I'll probably get caught. Oh well, we'll see what happens. And that'll do. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Stick around for the next one. See you then. Bye bye. This dog spotted the squirrel. Very interested. Hasn't made a lunge for it. There he goes. No, the squirrel's well aware of what's going on. He's already way up in the tree. Now the dog's trying to bite the tree. The squirrel was always going to get away, don't worry.